Hello, everyone. I wanted to do this video slash class to help agents, A, who are newer or struggling, and B, those who may already now or in the future be interested in coaching. However, notice that to show this video, I'm not requiring an email for you to see it. I hope that speaks of my integrity and my intentions with this. I strive to promote this because it's really, at the end of the day, I'm a big proponent of helping create a more abundant industry for ourselves and for our clients. And currently, there is so much stress and salesy sales McSales in our industry that I'm doing whatever I can to contribute, just to help improve. You know, it takes a village, right? So I'm just doing my small part to contribute to the wellness, mentally and emotionally, of our industry. So I'm going to share with you what I know to be the way to build an abundant real estate business from the inside out. Now, when I say from the inside out, please do not misunderstand that to mean that you don't have to do anything. You can't just sit on your couch, rub a wine bottle, and expect for a bunch of clients to show up on your front porch. I mean, you know, eventually maybe mind control will get to that point, but right now we got to get out there. We got to meet some people. But importantly, if you don't have this foundation, then you're not going to have a steady flow of clients or a steady flow of abundance in your life. So at the end of this, after I go through this whole video, and I'm going to make it as short and sweet as I can. I will talk about my coaching program, but again, no holds barred. I am going to talk about price. I'm going to talk about what you get. It's really important, though, that you understand this is not a commercial for my coaching. It's really a way for me to share what I know to be true. Now, full disclosure, if you apply these things that I'm talking about in this video, and you start to be like, wow, this really works. Hey, maybe you will say, I think I'll call Tamara because she's the one that shared this with me. So maybe I'll coach with Tamara. Okay, full disclosure, I am being completely honest with that. There is that small percentage of me that hopes, but 100% of me is 100% dedicated to helping get this information out in our industry, because we are really behind when it comes to incorporating spirituality and the science of co-creation in our industry. We still, to this day, I've been in the business 30 years, and I'm just short of mortified that we still have, you know, you got to knock on the doors, you got to dial for dollars, you know, how many closes, how many sides did you do this week, and blah, 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 blah. It's just really nauseating to me, because I know that's not how we're intended to conduct ourselves. And I know most agents, it makes them feel icky, and I guarantee you it makes most consumers feel icky. So that's what this is kind of all about. And if these ideas resonate with you, then I hope that you apply them. And if I never hear from you again, that's okay too. I wish you all the best success forever. Okay? So let's get started with the good stuff. There's three aspects that we're going to be talking about, and I believe that they are the three most important aspects in building an abundant business. You can call them aspects or steps or laws or whatever you want to call them, but they're the three things that that you'll want to embrace and practice in order to become an abundant agent. And they are the laws of intention, imagination, and action. So let's start with intention. Setting an intention is step one, but interestingly enough, most people spend more time thinking about and reacting to the things that they are not intending instead of what they want to intend. So having an intention puts wheels on your wishes, but instead of hopeful thinking or, wishful thinking, it's really a direct command to your subconscious mind that you've decided something, that you're going to create it. And there's so much power in that. You know, the law of attraction does work when we understand it. However, the most recent science is more applicable to intention rather than the film, I'm doing air quotes, the film The Secret. Not that that was a bad thing. I mean, it was a great movie and it inspired a lot of people, but it also left a lot of unanswered questions. And that's because it really didn't dig into the science or the technique, and I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, what we know now through science is that basically, science and scripture and religion were kind of in different ballparks. And now what's really ironic is that science is now proving that ancient scripture and even religious texts are accurate. It's proving it. And I mean, if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will, because it just goes to show you that we have unlimited potential. Each and every one of us do, including you. So if you've ever heard yourself say, I don't know why this doesn't work for me, it works for everyone else, I guess I'm just destined not to have it work for me, then hear me out. It will work for you. It will work for you. You just have to understand how to work with it. And it's a we're all a work in progress. So it's not like anyone is. Trust me, I have searched the world wide. There is nobody who is a manifesting wizard. And I have studied under who I respect the most from science and spirituality. And I know a couple of people who have really taken the science to the full Monty. Excuse me, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Lynn McTaggart, John Assaraf. I have personally, myself, I have mentored with these people. So I feel 100% confident that I know everything there is to know that current science shows us. But I'm here to tell you, even that being said, there's still nobody can manifest like Jesus, right? Nobody walking amongst us is at that level, unless you go searching in India and you find some meditating monks that really can do things like levitate and melt snow and teletransport and crazy stuff like that. But you know what? They're not going to be on YouTube and Facebook because they don't need the publicity, right? So what I'm saying is, you are not an exception. And so if you think you're an exception in that you cannot create and build an abundant business starting from the inside, then you are mistaken. Okay? So I just kind of wanted to give you that little pep talk about how this is so possible for you. So intending is about holding a vision that you begin training your brain to believe it's already experiencing. That's a really important statement. So let me say it again. Intending is about holding a vision that you begin to train your brain to believe it's already experiencing. See, our brains don't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined, and we'll get into the imagination next. So your intention is really a whole lot more than just wishing or saying maybe someday. It's really making a decision. And when you make that decision, your neural networks kind of, they spaz out. They're like, oh, this is happening. And they start to believe it. And with repetition and time, it starts to have a real strong impact on your life and your business. So when, it starts to rewire, we start to convince our subconscious mind that it's already having that thing that we intend. And it really, really makes such a difference. And I'm always amazed at how many agents I speak to all the time, and lenders and brokers and team leaders and commercial brokers too, by the way. But, the intention isn't there. It's always like, well, I just want to make a few $100,000 this year. Well, that's a wishy-washy intention. And, it's got to be stronger than that. It's got to be something that you really, really, really are excited about. I'm not going to talk about creating intentions in this particular video, but I certainly may do one in the future. So it will help you with that. So anyway, what else do I want to say? As an interesting side note, one of the things that I do with my students, and you can do it now, you don't need to be in my coaching program to do it, but we find in the science of intention, particularly this is the work of Lynn McTaggart in her global research, that when intentions are set for other people, you get what's called a rebound effect. And I'm talking a measurable rebound effect. So if nothing else, every day set an intention that certain people that you know or things that you care about, set an intention for the betterment of that. So even if it's world peace, or you have a sick child and intending for your child to get better, or you have a friend who's in a marathon and sending her good intentions. But just understand, and this really is what I'm talking about, where science comes back and spirituality and all gets mixed up in this one big beautiful ball, and that is that it's all going to be about doing for others. It sounds so not silly, but it sounds so outdated to say the golden rule and all these things, but now science is proving it. So here it is with Lynn McTaggart's work saying that when we intend good things for other people, good stuff happens to us. Okay? But for our abundant business building, the law of intention is very important. And so you need to decide what it is you want with all of your heart and then make up your mind that you're going to have it. That's the first foundational part. Okay? The next part is your imagination. So our imagination is what brings vision to life. And keep in mind, your imagination is always working. And the trouble is that sometimes it's creating more of what we don't want instead of what we do want. And usually we're not even aware that we're imagining the worst case scenario, or, imagining by reliving something bad that happened in the past, and we just keep playing that conversation or that event over and over in our mind. Well, we're using our imagination to create, is what we're doing when we're negative. There's things that happen in our lives, like clients may choose a different agent, a deal gets bumpy. All these things that happen, we think it's outside of ourselves. But what we have to stop and do is we have to stop and realize that it's very likely that it was in our energy and our emotions and in our imaginations, whether consciously or unconsciously, that caused these things to happen. Okay? We have to use our imagination in full force to see, feel, taste, and touch the intention that we've set for ourselves. Our imaginations, when mixed with faith and emotion, literally begins creating our visions on another field, like the quantum field. If you've never heard of that, I'm sure you have by now, because quantum physics is what I talk a lot about. And I don't talk about it in an airy-fairy way. I talk about it from a real scientific perspective that I put through my filter and make it real estate friendly, if that makes sense to you, because talking about particles and waves collapsing is just not really all that sexy to most people. But when we say, oh, if you imagine yourself landing that $1 million listing, that makes more sense. That speaks to your heart, right? So we're not talking with imagination, guys. We're not just talking about visualizing. We're talking about full-blown, all-out imagining. And what that means in my book is that it's with such certainty that it feels more real than your feet. Okay, when you imagine a scene, visualizing, it's kind of like this surface picture in your mind. But when you imagine a scene, something I call metacreation, you're imagining it with such intensity and emotion that you don't even need it to happen in the physical reality, because you are enjoying it, every detail, so truly in your imagination. And again, in this video, I'm not going to get into the details of ways that you can do that better, but I will in future videos. And if you haven't read all my books or some of my books, then you can easily find it there too. But just understand that your imagination is so powerful, and that if we begin to use our imagination every day to mentally rehearse things as we wish them to be, that's the key to bringing your intentions to fruition. However, there's trouble afoot when we tend to imagine worst case scenarios instead of best case scenarios. So this is actually the most challenging of the three things we're talking about. And I want to take a little side trip here, and before I get to the third one, and I want to talk about why it's so problematic. And because I honestly believe that this is the reason why more agents are not experiencing abundance. And I don't need to give you the statistics. I can rattle off that 90% of the business in this industry in the United States is done by 10% of the agents. And that's pretty depressing. But it's because those who are rocking it, those top producers, understand this, even if they don't know they understand it. See, so that's why if you go to a panel or a conference, a realtor thing, we see these top producers up there, and the audience is saying, so what do you do? What's your secret? And he's like, well, I read, I shouldn't name other authors, but they may say, well, I door knock 20 doors a day. And then another one's going to be like, I send out cards. And then another one's going to be, I just go to my church. So then all the people in the audience, all these agents who are like desperate to understand what is the missing key to my business. They're desperate for it. They want it. They want it so badly. And they're going to think that they've got to now go to church, sign up for send out cards, which I am a big fan of, by the way, and door knock, and there's my dog, sorry. And you're gonna hear on those panels, and I've been on those panels and I've been in the audience of those panels, and they're all great people. It's not that, it's that they're telling you what they did, but they didn't realize that this is the part they're doing because it's natural to them, or because they learned it and it's inherent, because it is the way that they got to be the success that they are. Okay, no question about it. Anyone who's ever been successful did what we're talking about here. And I'm talking about bad successful too. I'm talking about people like Hitler. I'm talking about anyone you can think of who ever accomplished something that seemed impossible. Definitely use this. Fortunately, we have a lot of people now, besides quantum physicists, we have a lot of people in the not ordinary, but in the extraordinary world who are full throttle admitting that this is how they did it. Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you've never read his book, oh my God. I talk about him in a few of my books because his accomplishments are mind-blowing, what he accomplished in 3 different arenas. Jim Carrey talks about it. Oprah talks about it. So it's not like this is a mystery, and it's not like this is woo-woo, oh, this is so weird, it doesn't belong in real estate. It absolutely belongs in real estate. This is how top producers do it. So what gets in the way, and why is it so hard? Because if I just say, okay, just imagine, set your intention and imagine every day with passion and expectation and faith that intention is going to come to fruition. Just do that every day. And you're going to be like, okay, I'll do it. But what's going to happen that's going to mess you up? Think about that. And while we think about it, I'm going to tell you. It has to do with our brains. And not just our brains, but our brains, and again, I won't get into the energy aspect of all of this, but our brains, they're here to protect us, but at the same time, that protection is like on overkill. So we have 65 to 75,000 thoughts a day, and the majority of them are under our level of awareness. So we don't even know what we're thinking. I want you to really think about that. You don't always know what you're thinking, but I will give you a cheater trick, and that is check your emotions. If you're feeling frustrated, bored, melancholy, if you're feeling anything like that, then chances are that you've got unconscious programs rattling around in the background. The good news is you don't need 20 years of therapy to manifest an abundant business and to get over what your mom and dad did to you. And I say this with tongue in cheek. I started out as a therapy major. I understand. My daughter is a therapist. I have the utmost respect for most therapists. What I'm saying is I do not believe that you have to go back to heal the past. I believe through quantum physics and neuroscience that you can, the majority of issues and, post-traumatic stress syndrome and so many things, I believe can be handled through these techniques. Okay. Again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm a hypnotherapist. So I'm not giving that kind of advice, but just understand that the things that are in your unconscious mind, using these techniques, you can change them without having to go back and visit the icky spots of your, of your childhood or your youth. So we have these thoughts that we think over and over and over again, repeatedly. And because we're on autopilot, they just keep going and going and going. So what we have to do is we have to learn to feed our subconscious brains the positive imaginings. And what happens though is a mood strikes us, like, oh, I don't feel like doing my imagination today. I don't feel like doing my meta creation because, that deal's bumpy and this stuff's not going to work. And oh my gosh, I always get the worst clients. It's that spiral, that downhill spiral monkey mind. So you have to remember that only 5% of your thinking is conscious. Just, again, think about that, 5%. So that's why you can say every January 1st, I'm going to close 50 transactions this year, or maybe I'm going to go to the gym every day, or I'm going to cut out sugar. But because your unconscious brain is a whopping 95% of your thinking, and because it largely operates on the midbrain, you can see up here the midbrain, the midbrain's right here. The midbrain's job, your limbic brain system, which is down by your spinal cord down here, and your midbrain, the job of this mechanism, the mechanics of your brain, is to protect you, to help you survive. And here's what you need to remember. Anything that seems uncomfortable or unfamiliar, your brain will interpret as a threat. And you know what happens when you're on the freeway and a car, goes in front of you? Your face may get hot, your adrenaline and your cortisol just spike, and that's your internal alarm. And that will keep you out of the energy vibration that you need to be in to attract abundance. So you have to ask yourself, how many times a day do I get a little wigged out? How many times a day do I let my mood alter? Do I take a nosedive into, I don't know, more apathetic or angry or frustrated or depressed? And most people, and I'm just going to be really upfront with you here, most people won't admit that to other people, but we all of us have times, probably during each and every day, where we're like, oh shit, we have, and even if it's unconscious, where we're thinking, what is this all about? Because, we'll scroll through Facebook and we'll see, oh, there's a shooting there, or someone else has cancer. And we're just like, what the hell am I even doing? What is this all about? I mean, why should I even worry about my diet? Give me some damn donuts, right? Because it just seems so futile. And what that is, I just want you to recognize what that is it's your brain. It's basing, your memories that are in this part of your brain, your hippocampus. Your memories are unconsciously always with you. And if you have those memories that, that remind you that, remind you that you think you're not good enough, or you can't have things, or you don't deserve things, it's going to be playing chemically, biochemically, energetically in the unconscious areas of your brain. And you're not going to even know it. Okay? So that's where you kind of have to take a strong hold on your brain and say, you know what? We're going to sit down this morning and we're going to do our meta creation session for 30 minutes. And I'm not going to open my eyes until I'm so stinking excited about my abundant business. And it feels so real that I can feel the chemicals in my brain changing my body. Okay? That is a key. And that is where most of us, I'm going to say the majority of people who can't get the law of attraction to work for them. And again, I don't even like the term the law of attraction. I'm just using it here because I know you can understand what it means. But the majority of people that can't get results that they want, it's because they're not doing this. Because they're letting their mood and their past and their worries and their fears stop them in their tracks. Oh, you don't need to meditate this morning. You don't need to imagine your ideal outcome and your abundant business. There's too much neat stuff to look at on Facebook. You can do it tomorrow, you see. And that's what happens. It's that unconscious belief that it's not going to work for us. So I really hope that section made sense, because it's just so doggone important. And you know what happens when we are in hyper vigilant mode? In other words, like someone pulls in front of you on the freeway, or, your seller says, we're just going to take it off the market. That spike in adrenaline and cortisol, it has to be released, and you can't just sit there and hold it in you. And what happens to us as agents is we hold all this stress. And this picture is so perfect, because that is how many agents, all across the world are feeling right this moment, at any given moment in time, right? Even when they're sleeping and they wake up at 3 a.m. and they're like, oh my God, we didn't have the termite work done, whatever it might be. So we're in the people business. And when you feel that spike of fear, which is actually your brain being in fight or flight, your prospects pick up on it. And this is unconscious and energetic. And neuroscience proves this now. This is not me just saying it. It proves that people will pick up on it and be repelled by it if you are experiencing stress, even if on the phone. And of course, if you're door knocking or at a networking event. So if you're feeling stressed out or fearful, someone else is picking up on it. Probably a lot of someone else's. And they're going to be repelled by it. Okay? And another thing I want to say about this is you're going to find more things go wrong in your life in your business when you are feeling stressed out, because when you're in this mode, you're in what I call survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, all you're doing is looking for things to be afraid of so that you can protect yourself from them. And I want you to think about that for a second. If you're walking around, like, just imagine, someone all cowered down with a hood and just grabbing their shoulders and scurrying away, all huddled over. They're like, I don't want anything to touch me. I don't want anything to get me. I'm scared. I need to be safe. But also good stuff can't come to them. They're blocking just by their posture and their energy and their attention and their imagination. They're blocking the good, beautiful things that can come to them. So, that's why it's so important that we use our imaginations, and that we understand that the stress that we experience on almost a daily basis is actually what's keeping you from attracting the abundance you want. Now, I realize that I'm not the only real estate coach who talks about building a referral-based business, but I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one that talks about it from neuroscience and consumer psychology from that perspective, and of course quantum physics. So after we work on our imaginations, our intention, our energy, then we got to start focusing on our expectations. And EMC squared, Albert Einstein, basically what that was, and obviously it was in a very, very different fashion, but Albert Einstein himself pretty much said that there's no difference between mind and matter, that there's no difference between matter and energy is matter, and matter is energy, and it can not be destroyed or recreated. I mean, it's just the energy of the universe is what we're all comprised of, and our bodies may die, and houses may crumble to the ground, but at the end of the day, it's all energy, and it can all be rebuilt. So we know that our lives right now, our businesses, are really a reflection of our beliefs. And in neuroscience, we know that 95% of our thinking acts as a filter, so that we'll only experience what we expect, which can be pretty scary when 95% of what we expect is going to be unconscious. And that's where our beliefs lie. So on a quantum level, we know that it's consciousness itself that creates. So in a nutshell, your thinking is electric and your feelings are magnetic, and that's what creates this electromagnetic field. So let me put this in a super simple context. Your emotions are magnets. Your emotions are magnets. So the third aspect is action. Once we've implemented the laws of intention and imagination, it's time to take a look at the third aspect, and that is inspired action. And what I'm talking about here, when I say inspired action, is think of it as opposed to forced action. It's abundance versus scarcity. It's giving versus taking. So if we want to build referral-based businesses that are abundant, there's several ways to do this, but this part that we're talking about here, the laying the foundation and having the intention and using your imagination, and then in that calm mind, because remember what we're doing with our imagination, we're mentally rehearsing a future that we are anticipating will come to us, or us to it, whatever the case may be. We're going to be calm. We're not going to have cortisol and adrenaline flowing all through our body. And when we're calm like that, we are going to get intuition. You are going to get inspired. You may sit down for a session of imagination and you may say, I'm going to do some door hangers this weekend. Or it may be, I'm going to see if I can hold a house open. Or it may be, I'm going to take a day at the spa because I damn well need it. It could be any of those things. But the point is, right now, if your mind is going a million miles a minute, like so many agents, so many humans, okay, not just agents. I mean, agents are human too, right? At least I like to think we are. But what I'm saying is everyone is always stressed out. It's only when we can relax our minds, and you got to do this every day. And when you relax your mind, that ideas flow to you. And they're creative and they feel good. And that's your key right there. That's your gauge. If you have an idea and it feels good, even if it's a little scary, because a little scary is okay too. But if it feels good, like it's the right thing, then it is. And then you should do it. And sometimes you may think nothing makes sense. Like, I don't have very much money in the bank. I just did a medication session where I saw myself having this abundant business, and I really need to get something in escrow. Why is my intuition right now giving me this idea that I need to go to the bakery? Because that's just crazy. But you know what? If it was from your intuition and you go to the bakery, you just have no idea what serendipitous events and synchronicities could flow from that. You know, I'm not saying 1,000% that you're going to meet someone at the bakery who wants to sell their house tomorrow, but I've heard stranger things. And maybe by doing that, you will avoid some other mishap. Or maybe by going to the bakery, you'll meet someone else that leads you to someone else. What I'm saying is, there are all sorts of signs from the universe, from the quantum field, that we get from our higher selves, if you like the sound of that better, that we get on a daily basis, but we are so dang distracted and stressed out that we don't pay attention to them. And if you're frantic and worrying about not having enough money to pay your cell phone, and you go pass out flyers in that state of mind, that's forced action, and it's probably not going to do you much good. But if you do that same activity, and it's from a place of inspiration and joy and gratitude and service, it's a whole different ballgame. Does that make sense? Does it make sense why some agents are out there, and some lenders are out there, some brokers are out there, and they're doing the exact same thing as the other person who's not making a penny? It's because those who are doing it from that frame of mind, that state of being, that state of consciousness, of joy and gratitude and service. Okay? So, and generosity. And one of the things I love to talk about is what one of my mentors, Lynn McTaggart, the science researcher on intentions, what she says is get off yourself. And what she means by that is, when you start intending for other people, like I said earlier, and being of service for other people and thinking, what can I give instead of what can I get? It's just like, it opens you up. Like, I can't even tell you how fast it opens you up. And you are just a receptacle for abundance. I mean, because you're giving, you're just giving. And that energy is just so attractive. It's so attractive that you will thus attract clients and abundance. So it kind of looks like this. I wanted to make it in a little chart like this. Our thoughts, intentions, and imagination cause chemical reactions which lead to feelings and moods, which are the springboard for our action. That's why I have action in red. And of course, the interactions that result. So when we get to our expectations and attraction, things are a little bit more difficult to measure, at least scientifically, because science is actually still stumbling along when it comes to manifestation and miracles. I am 100% confident, maybe not in my lifetime, but I'm 100% confident that eventually science will absolutely show how, Moses parted the water and Jesus healed the sick. I mean, and even if that's not your religious propensity, whatever it is, miracles have a definite scientific reason for them. And what's really going to be crazy, in my estimation, is it's going to have to do with being super in touch and in tune with your higher self or God, whatever you want to look at it as. And it's going to be based on love and a pure heart. How funny is that that's just like the Bible? I mean, so funny if you think about it, if you really think about it. But I'm just a science nerd, so I would be the last person that would have ever started with the Bible. But the irony of it to me is just crazy. So we're going to talk about manifestation and miracles from the idea that science just hasn't yet figured out, but they definitely happen. So it doesn't matter if you study the Bible or other philosophies or religions or ancient texts. The human mind and heart can and do create miracles. So if it's true that you create everything, that means you've created your real estate business so far, right? So if you want to discover how you've been thinking, and maybe a lot of it's been unconscious, as well as focusing on feelings on a daily basis, just look around you. Okay? So I want to tell you something important, and that is that you have a choice. We all have a choice. And it's probably the most important thing is to take yourself out of victim mode and into victor mode, because it's so empowering. Because if you say, oh crap, okay, I had a really bad illness. Maybe my thinking, unconscious thinking, maybe about when I was younger, maybe my stress levels, whatever. But somehow I contributed to that. If you can own up to that fact, and you can really, really say, okay, I'm responsible for what I have so far in my life, then guess what? You're also empowered to start this very moment, this very day, making different decisions. And I'm talking mentally and emotionally. I'm not even talking about different decisions in relationships or money or anything like that. I'm talking just about emotionally and mentally, because that's where it all starts. Now, before we go on, I want to tell you a fun story, okay? Hopefully my daughter won't mind. So I've kind of raised my kids, as you might imagine. I've been studying this stuff for well over 20 years, and guaranteed they haven't been listening to it the whole 20 years. But my youngest daughter, this is her in the middle, little beauty, when she was 18, decided she wanted to go to LA and get into show business. And so, she did a couple little tiny things here and there. And then she discovered stand-up comedy, and she really loved it. And so she wanted to do stand-up comedy. And I'm not 100% a huge fan of vision boards unless they're done properly. And when I say properly, it has to just be a reflection of your meta creation in your morning. So whatever you're thinking about as your vision for your abundant business, it's got to have a picture. And if you decide to cut out magazine, photos and put them on a poster board, as long as it represents that image that's in your mind, then they can be very powerful. So I told her, I said, well, what do you want to do? And she said, I love stand-up comedy, and I want to meet, and I cannot remember this gal's name. That's so terrible of me. Anyway, she's famous. She's a famous comedian. And Jessica, my daughter, just wanted to have the chance to do some stand-up. That was like her vision. That was her intention. And I'm not kidding you that she made this vision board, and you can see here, she was on television. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe 6 months, maybe a few months later. I don't know. Someone, I think, stepped on my daughter's foot. That's why she's got this face going on. But I want you to look at the juxtaposition of the positioning, how she's standing right behind her. And I mean, they're just like side by side. Is that just so crazy? I just love this because it goes to show you how powerful this can be with your mind, not just a vision board. It's got to be in your mind. And I will say to my daughter, or for my daughter, that she went on after this. She's met Chris Rock and Pauly Shore. She's done a lot of stand-up in Pauly Shore's Comedy Store in LA, all over LA. She has presented or performed comedy at the Gotham in New York City. So she really, really did the thing that she wanted to do. And now she works in audio production for a company that where she gets to hang out with Neil Diamond, and HBO specials. They come and they record their songs and their music for their shows there. So she decided that comedy wasn't for her because, oh boy, it's a rough business. But she got to have the ride. And really, if you think about it, isn't that what life is all about, is the ride and the experiences? Because really, at the end of the day, you could say, well, I just want to be safe at home in my pajamas. You don't want an abundant business so you can be safe at home in your pajamas. You want an abundant business so you can have experiences, so you can take your family to Hawaii, so you can go on cruises, so you can give to your favorite charities, so you can dine in fine restaurants, so you can help in whatever way you feel that your soul is destined to help people. It does not have to be about real estate. You're following your heart and your higher calling, and real estate is just the vehicle for which you're doing it. And you may find that you want to just make a lot of money and then change careers, or you may find that you want to expand your real estate business. It does not matter. What matters is that you have the ride, and you can't get on the ride if you don't buy the ticket. And your imagination and your emotions really truly are the ticket. Okay? So I'm here to tell you that if you grasp any of this slide right here really says it all. You don't have to worry about the science that proves it. All you need to do is prove it to yourself. Your intentions, imagination, emotions, and actions have to match. Just like socks in the laundry that don't match, you don't have a pair. It all has to match the vision that you have for your business. And when we can start living from the place of already having what it is we want, your emotions are truly what cause the law of attraction to do its thing. If you're feeling frustrated or sad, then the thought and the images you're going to hold in your mind are pretty much asking to give you more things that are, going to make you mad and frustrated. But if you hold a vision of wealth, joy, and you broadcast that kind of a high frequency vibration and emotion out into the quantum field, you're going to experience more things that bring you wealth, joy, and good health. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to try it. It works always. You just have to have the faith and the fortitude and awareness and be consistent and not fall off that high frequency bandwagon. So basically, we have to act as if. And what I always say, what I always tell my coaching clients, and I always say it in my books, is we have to be in alignment with our vision. In alignment, thoughts, feelings, actions. The things that we said, our intention, our imagination, and our actions. And obviously that includes our emotions, right? So acting as if is so important, but yet it's so seemingly impossible. And the reason is it's because we're so addicted and distracted by what we experience with our five sense world every single day. And when we stop being our five sense world person and we dip into that endless, unlimited possibilities, that's when the real magic happens. We've got to sink into the silence in the world where our intentions and imaginations and inspired actions live. So you see, it's seriously like 80% feeling and thinking like a top producer and 20% or so of the actions that connect you with other people. And once we understand and apply this to our own internal landscapes, we're so much more equipped to attract clients and, importantly, to keep them and make them happy and to help them literally want to refer us to their friends. That's what an effective referral-based business looks like. And that's the gist of becoming an abundant agent. But the most essential takeaway is this: set a big intention for an abundant business, imagine it every day with emotion as often as you can, acting as if, and then take inspired action daily. And more important, stay tuned into the vision more than you tune into the lack of the vision. And notice things, be aware, notice your unconscious moods and reactions to other people and situations, because it's like taking money out of the bank every time you react negatively. Just think about that. I know it's hard to do alone, and that's why I have my coaching, which I'm going to tell you about now, because I'm so passionate about this. So you'll even if you have no interest whatsoever in coaching, stick with me the last 5 minutes here, because I bet you can pick up some idea that you can implement on your own, even without coaching, okay? So a lot of programs focus solely on the doing, and I think that's, again, where our industry falters, and it fails. I think it fails agents. I've been a real estate professor for 17 years, and sometimes I just want to hug my students and say, it's going to be so scary out there. It's not what you think right now. But I do my best to teach them and give them the tools that they understand. A lot of it is mindset, but I have to follow my academic integrity and my rigor, and so I don't have time to teach this stuff in the college classroom, obviously. But it's important to note that all the action in the world, which traditional real estate coaching has us doing, is not going to create abundance until and unless the internal landscape is one of abundance. Period. To be clear, we do work on inspired action in my coaching. So it's not like, oh, we're just going to sit there and meditate. It's not like that at all. You are definitely bringing your business to the program, but the actions that you take are going to be more effective and based on an abundant mindset. So we have to do the daily work on ourselves as well as the activities. So here's what it entails. We've got 8 online modules, and there's a lot in each module, and you get to keep those. They're yours even after the 8 weeks, and they include any updates. So in 5 years from now, if you decide to go back and redo the course, then you have access to that. And that training is all designed to keep you in alignment with your vision as well as to create it. So we have a couple of calls a week. Then you have 2 one-on-one calls with me during those 8 weeks. This is an 8-week program initially, and I'll get there in a minute. We have a private Facebook group where we keep recordings and we make connections and we share celebrations and support one another, and things like that. But I have some unique things that I add to this that I don't believe any other coaches are doing. And I will tell you, when I say small groups, I mean small groups. Now, I have been managing classes and I've done group coaching for so many years, but I find that under 20 is the most, I don't know, the sweet spot for me, that it makes sure everyone gets private attention, besides your one-on-one calls. I want the group calls to be very personalized too, so that we can help you with your specific business. But trust me, the obstacles we overcome and the way we stay on in the course is so much more powerful than you would ever believe when it's a small exclusive group. So what happens when I say it's an 8-week program, but then you go to grad group, is that after your 8 weeks are over, I'm not going to just send you on your merry way and say, okay, don't forget to apply all this every day, because I know how hard it is. So you go into a grad group, and the grad group is yours. You could be in that forever. And your grad group, again, it's not huge. I don't ever anticipate it being super huge, but the grad group is for more support and motivation, and it gives you a place to connect with other people who've gone through this program, who think like you do. And what a great way, right? When think about that. What a great way to connect with possible referral sources. Wouldn't you rather have someone who has this training, who knows to manifest deals closing, that you're going to send a referral to? Think about that for a minute, right? And it also, as it grows, because this is just out of the beta testing. So as it grows, you have your own small intention group, and maybe it's you keep your intention group for someone that was in your 8-week program, and you'll notice again that when you're intending for other people, it makes the program so much more awesome, and it makes your business and your life so much more awesome. And your intention group doesn't have to just be for real estate. It can be if you have a health issue that comes up, or you're having a family issue that comes up. You can ask other people in your intention group, can you intend this for me, or can you intend that for me? And it still works. You know what I mean? This is not just about your business, because the truth of the matter is, you are just a real estate agent or broker or lender or whatever as a vehicle. That's, like I said before, it's a vehicle, but you are a human being that has human emotions, and you need to have fun and freedom and good health and love and happy relationships. So this is why I try to encompass all of that in here. Okay. Anyway, one of the things when you are in the regular 8-week program and you begin to see how powerful it is, you'll want to keep your intention group of some kind up. You'll want to keep it up. And so the grad group is a great place to find new intention partners, or to maintain your old ones, or whatever you decide. And I set you all up with that. I help you with that. And then also for the grad group, I do a monthly call. It's a larger group. It will eventually not be as exclusive as the first 8 weeks, but again, right now it's brand new, so it will still be small for a while. But those free calls and videos will just help keep you in alignment. And finally, the exclusive nature. And while I don't believe in competition in the literal sense, the science of intention shows us that we've got to be specific. So I don't want to have 2 agents from the same zip code, because sending intentions, like let's just say Mary from San Francisco, that's for Mary for San Francisco. Now if there's someone else in Walnut Creek or Oakland, that's okay. Just like in Sacramento is another good example. Sacramento County is huge, so I could have an agent from Elk Grove and I could have one for Folsom, but I wouldn't have 2 agents for Folsom, because when the rest of the group and me, because I put my powerful intending magic onto my clients. And so, if I'm intending for you to rock out in Folsom, I don't want to have 2 people that I'm trying to split my intention between. So our exclusive zip code, and that's only for the 8-week program. It doesn't mean over time that you can't go through this program if you've known someone else who's gone through it in your area. It's just during the 8-week program, which is really intense. And so I like to keep it as pure as possible. Does that make sense? We want all of our energy and power to help you build an abundant business in your specific area. So what does this cost? Well, I have sold this program. Again, It's literally just did a beta. So it's like brand spanking new at this point. And I don't know when you're listening to this, because the good thing is this part may be outdated by the time you're listening to this, because the internet, everything lives forever. But the first part of this video, 1000% still accurate. I don't care when it is. And maybe, in 5 years, there may be new scientific discoveries, but all the stuff I said at the beginning is still going to be proven to be true. Bet my bottom dollar. So anyway, during the beta phase, I've had a couple of agents pay $5,000, and that was without the grad group and without the group intention factor. But if you resonate with these ideas and really want to get into this and really want to experience it, I'm going to take a huge discount of more than $1,500. So basically, it's either one payment of $3,000 or two payments of $1,750. But wait, I sound like the guy in the commercial. But wait, before you say or think that's a lot, or just automatically shut down and be like, oh my God, I can't afford coaching. Let me ask you a question, and this is a really telling question. And this is not me trying to overcome an objection. This is me trying to open your mind. And here's the question. How much do you ask sellers to pay in commission for you to sell their house? Think about it. I need some Alex Trebek music here. Dun, 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 dun. I find that some agents who think coaching is pricey are the same agents who will expect a seller to fork over quite a lot more than what I'm talking about here. And it's incongruent. You are automatically out of alignment. If you think $3,000, especially if by the time you're listening to this, it's back up to $5,000. But if you think $3,000 is a lot, you've got to examine and explore your own level of scarcity, because you can't, with full integrity, ask a seller to pay $10,000 or $20,000 or even $5,000 in commissions if you're not willing to pay that, because we've got to give and take. So I just ask you, and I say this as someone who, I'm selling one of my listings, I'm closing one of my listings tomorrow. So I'm very in tune with this, and I pay tens of thousands of dollars in my own coaching and mentoring, because I have only coached with people that I knew who could help me and get to the next level, which is what I'm here to do for you. So you really can't lose, because the other thing I'm going to add is, if you don't make your money back when you work with me, here's the big if you're doing the work, you're showing up for the calls, you're listening to all the trainings, and you're taking some action, and you don't get results, I'm going to keep working with you until you do, because that's my reputation. And I've been in the business 30 years, and I've been a coach, and written 20 books. So I have a reputation. I don't want someone to say, oh, her coaching doesn't work. So I will work with you until it works. So hopefully I'm not getting myself in too deep there. Anyway, so I'm going to put a link to where you can fill out an application below this video. And you can also go to my website, tamaradoris.com, and click on the Mind Over Market tab and fill out the application. So if you're wondering what the application is, there's nothing to hide from you. I already told you what the cost is. And I'm not going to try to sell you or close you into anything. You're only going to be filling out that application if you're like, yeah, I want to do this. So there's nothing to worry about me trying to sell you something or bait and switch. The reason you have to fill out the application is because I can only have like-minded people in the program. Because if I only have 5 people, let's just say we do an 8-week run and there's 5 people in it, and one person is just a negative Nelly, and they're just like, my life is terrible, this is not working. That is going to contaminate and pollute the energy of the entire group, and it will affect our ability to send intentions. It will just have a real negative impact. So I'm picky, and I would rather turn you and your money away, nothing personal, than invite you in when I feel like it would have a negative impact on the group. So that is it. That is the deal right there. And again, I'm telling you with full disclosure, I am posting this video on February 20th, 2019. That's a good day, because my birthday's in 3 days. So I'm posting it now, and I cannot tell you at what date or time that this price will no longer be in effect. But I'm hoping that I can keep it like this for at least at least several months. You know, it might only be a few months or it might be a year. I don't know because I don't have a crystal ball. Anyway, that's what it is. And again, go through the first section of this again and just really, really write it down, absorb it, and just get your vision going, get your intention going. Use your imagination as God and the universe intended you to use it, and connect with the quantum field and live from the place of already having found your intention, living from it. And I guarantee you, you're going to see some results. Okay, I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye for now.